Hello and welcome, this is Rooflemonger, and this is my 200th Dragon Ball FighterZ video. It's been a long time coming and a lot of people asked for it, for Trunks tips and tricks, and here we are. So with all these kind of videos here, the tips and tricks videos, we'll be covering his moveset here, you know, specials and supers. Also, I want to talk about his assists a little bit. So we're also going to be talking about left-right mix-ups, some flips in depth, some sword tricks, and just a general game plan. So without any further ado, let's get right to it. So let's talk about the first special move we have up here, the Shining Slash. That's quarter circle forwards and one of your attack buttons. So that first one you saw there is light, the second one is the medium, and this is the X version. So these moves are all air okay, just so you know. As you see here, the medium travels a lot further down than the light here. The medium will go basically till you hit the ground. Well, most of the way to the ground anyways. So if you're at the absolute tip top of the screen, as you can see here, it will miss a standing 16. Or sorry, standing 18, but barely. But still, even at super jump distance, it connects. And the EX version is very quick. It doesn't have the time or patience to wait around. Now, the one thing about this move here, so we'll just set the enemy just to crouch real quick, and they are set to guard all. And you will notice they are standing to block this move. All three versions of this move are overhead, just so you know. Now, one quick thing to note here. The light version, no matter how close you are, the knockdown it gives is not a traditional sliding knockdown in a combo sense. Only the medium and EX give that. So if you're looking to finish with a combo with a super, you're going to have to use the medium and EX versions. Now, the Cyclone Jump. Now, we're going to speak of it in some detail in its own section, but just to quickly go over, quarter circle and back on a button will get you a command jump. So, different from your regular jump, because you can do it in the air too, so you can basically get a third jump. So, if you do quarter circle back and light, it'll jump you forward, and this is much the same in the air as well. Quarter circle back and medium will jump you backwards, much the same in the air. And quarter circle back and heavy, the X version, you can kind of choose. So here's me in front of 18, and now we just went all the way backwards, and once again, now we're going all the way forwards, and you can kind of control your distance a little bit. It can lead to some tricky stuff. We'll save the rest for the flip section. Next up, we have the Masenko. That's quarter circle forward in your key blast button, and it's just kind of a bog standard beam. Not to say it's in any way, shape, or form bad. Having a beam, as always, is much better than not having a beam, but it is just a beam nevertheless. Can't do it in the air, you are stuck in place. It does 5 hits like many other beams, very easy to confirm into a vanish if you want to get a small combo going from that. But yeah, what it does is what all beams do best, eats up a lot of space, and just kind of dominates the whole horizontal area of play. Startup's fairly decent. And recovery is not the worst. Not to say it's good, because usually beam recovery is not really good no matter what. But it's not really slow like some other characters. So overall, as far as beams go, you know, it's downright decent. Trunks' changed the future attack is done by quarter circle backwards and the key blast button. And as you can see here, it's a very large blast. If you watched the recent top 10 special moves in the game video I put out, you actually would know that I put this in at number 10 because it's one of the downright best special moves in the game. The one thing here to note, that big blast and that hitbox is exactly what it looks like, by the way. It is very representative of the move. It's a devastatingly large hitbox. It's all there, and you cannot super dash through it. It's all a true projectile. Now, one thing to note here, if you are closer to the character, and see here the screen will kind of close in on you guys and then go forward. So what's different here from this version? They both do the same amount of damage, but if you manage to get this in the corner, you can actually get a bit of a combo follow-up. So, you know, it's up to you to decide what you want to do, but that is a possibility, and it's a pretty good one. Another thing to note here, so when it comes to fighting off basic key blasts, the change of future attack is actually straight up immune to basic key blasts. It lasts them off. So Trunks is just shoulder charging through these guys, and then his blast comes through on the other end. Now, as right there. What I did is I accidentally held the button too long, and what happens if you hold the button too long? Well, then you get this, which is a feint. Now that feint, just like the version, the start of it does have frames where you can kind of bounce off basic key blasts, but the end of it does not. So if you want total protection, you go for the normal version of the move, and if not, you go for the feint. Now the feint has a lot of uses, and we're going to talk about them a little bit later in the left-right mix-up section. Now, when it comes to the super moves, he has one level 1 and one level 3. The level 1 attack is the burning attack, and all it is just a decently sized hitbox-wise projectile, and he shoots it forward. So, you know, if you want to do some sort of sliding, you know, into level 1, that's all she wrote. That's kind of bog standard. There's a little bit more to talk about. We'll talk about it in the general game plan section. And his level 3 is the heat dome attack, and when you get someone, you just chuck them up and you let him have it, just like Trunks let Cell have it. So this move here is a true command grab. So see here, it's set to guard all, so it's going to guard every attack we got here. Well, there ain't no guard in this. You get grabbed. So this is a bit different because he's not a grappler archetype. Someone like Android 16, very much a grappler archetype, has also command grab super. For Trunks, not really. This is kind of a deviation from what you would consider his game plan. Certainly is a signature attack, so that's why, you know, he has it, honestly. But yeah, it's a little bit different. It's easy enough to get it in the corner when you do kind of, you know, just whatever combo. That's not an issue. Getting it mid-screen is a bit of a trick, though. And we will talk about that trick later in the video. So, to quickly talk about his assist. So, his assist is the change the future attack here, just like the special move. It's basically the same in all regards. But one thing that's super key about this, so one, and just before anything else really, just talk about the basics of it. It's the same massive hitbox it is before, so it's not the worst idea just to chuck it out in neutral, because it's generally speaking going to eat whatever's in front of it. So, just as a panic button neutral, it's not bad, because if he gets hit, whatever, and if not, then he definitely blows away whatever's in front of him. So that's fine. But the one big secret about this is the block stun. So obviously when you block a move here, you're stuck in the block animation for a certain number of frames, and depending on the move you got hit with, that animation is different. Could be less, could be longer. Trunks' assist is unique in that it has the least amount of block stun in the game. And that means simply they're put in the block animation less than any other character in the game. Now you might think that's a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, and don't get me wrong, high block stun is also a good thing too, right? You know, certain teams are built around the fact that assist might have high block stun, but since it has low block stun, it can kind of mess with you a bit, because what it does is it gives you the ability to mash buttons. So if you're stuck in block stun, even if 16 was mashing as hard as he could, like here, you know, we'll set him here so he's going to counterattack with a light attack when he blocks, right? So there's a light. Doesn't matter how bad he's mashing, that move can't come out till there's a gap, right? So one thing about this assist is it can let you have the gap. So say we do something like this. So right there, if I'm TN, like I'm not going to get it. I'm negative, right? I'm not punishable, but I'm negative. So we can do this. Call Trunks here, and then what we're going to do is try to just keep attacking now and see what happens. So basically, that gave the enemy enough time to be able to hit buttons, but not enough time to actually beat me. So if I had like a long-lasting assist, like say Go Tanks or something, the enemy would not have the ability to basically hang themselves like the Trunks assist does. And since it's low block stun as well, another thing that means is we can do this here, like say something, I don't know, very basic like this. We call Trunks and we're going to go for that, right? And that can let us go for a Dragon Rush right away, because since he recovers from the block stun so fast, he's able to be Dragon Rush right away. Something like the Go Tanks, or say a Kid Buu assist, or even like say Android 16 with the high amount of block stun, either the pushback will be too much, or the amount of block stun that I'll do the Dragon Rush and it'll just go right through him, because you can't Dragon Rush someone who's blocking a move. So since Trunks puts you into block stun and takes you back out of it so fast, a lot more offensive options and permutations are possible than other characters' assists. So let's talk about left-right mix-ups with Trunks. So Trunks is in the unfortunate category that his high-low game's kind of weak. The overhead part is fine, Like, you know, it's very easy for him to get a double overhead. Jump heavy's got a huge hitbox, and he's got 3 different kinds of overheads with 3 different shining slashes. But he's only got 1 low. It's a pretty decent low, but he's only got 1 low. So his ability to high-low mix up you, it's not amazing. Let's put it that way. But what he does have is this. So his auto combo. And we'll just take it off block very quickly just so you can see the auto combo. So when he hits you here, he switches sides. And he can homing dash do whatever combo, right? But when you hit him on block, you still switch sides. That doesn't change, as you see here. And on top of that, you are still allowed, just like any move on block, you are allowed to special cancel that move. So you can go in and just go for it, as you can see here. So that's kind of the crux of his left-right mix-up game. So let's just talk about some of the permutations and just how this all works. So the first and probably most important in my opinion anyways, is the side switch and to change the future. So one quick thing to note here. Doesn't really matter who you are, what character you are. So we have here, we'll counterattack the light attack here. This is a frame trap. So if you try to smack him out of it, he's still going to beat you with this move. That's the one kind of key caveat here. Now, if you're in the corner here, keep in mind, not everything is going to work the same. So, we'll try to do Shining Slash here. We got smacked, right? The pushback is such that against a lot of characters, depending on their lights, you know, they're not going to be able to touch you. But in the corner, that kind of changes. But Change the Future basically beats everything no matter what. And so, keeping that in mind, you know, it's easy to hit confirm into a vanish if it connects. And what makes this alright is the move is very safe on block. So you see here, we're doing it point blank and we still get the block. It's, you know, certainly not plus, not even neutral. So you have lost your turn if you do it point blank. But it's still something. Also, it's easily cancelable into a vanish. It's not necessarily the safest thing in the world either because the enemy does have time to deflect, but still whatever, it's an option, right? And you can basically not be punished for it, so that's something. You might lose your turn, but you can't be punished for it. And we're going to have a lot of assists to cover it, but, well, that's talking ahead of ourselves, so let's just keep going. So we showed Change the Future. That's kind of the big one. And on top of that, just so you know, it does lose, obviously, to Reflex. So you can do it all you want, you're going to get pushed back. And once again, we're talking about corner stuff. You can potentially die right there. Now, one thing here we mentioned earlier in the special move side is you still get to do the feint. So if you do the feint, you can easily Dragon Rush them or full combo or whatever you want to do on someone getting deflect, happy about it. Because once again, since they can't really hit buttons, they can't do too much about it. So keep that in mind. Now let's just talk about here the Shining Slash. So Shining Slash is a chance, you know, to really one up. Once again, Shining Slash is overhead only, and you cannot cancel into his one low, the down medium. So there's really no reason to stand block, or sorry, do crouch block. You're basically always going to stand block, so it's not that great, but it is an option. And also, you can do the command flip. And see here, that's a nice little cross up. Now, the one thing here is you can very much easily get down heavied. But now we'll just set our enemy to down heavy. You can also get down heavied in your Shining Slash, you see here. But if you command flip right away, one thing is, some, not all, like Kid Buu is an example here where, as you can see, he can still smack us. But not all 2Hs hit directly above, some travel forward. And in the ones that travel forward, the flip can actually somewhat avoid it. So here, let's tag in 16 just so you can see what I'm talking about. So you see, in that case, we're kind of safe. So if we want to go for our cross-up shenanigans here, we can still get it, and they would have to delay down heavy to beat it. And if you delay down heavy to beat it, then all of a sudden, you know, then say a Shining Slash would actually beat that. So that kind of works out. And that's a little guessing game in and of itself. Now, the one thing to really kind of set this home is don't do this solo. Bring an assist. Assists are kind of what make this all kind of come together on a nice fashion. Because solo, like, change of feature is like a no-risk option, really, or at very least a low-risk option, but it's still not a lot. But assists are what make it all work. So same deal here, and we call an assist. So what happened here is the pushback, and now it's basically our turn. And if it connects, then we get a combo. So right here, with that amount of blocks on and pushback, we can actually just go for a down medium. If they try to hit a button, hey, we're going to win. And hey, what if it connects? Even better yet, right? If it connects, then what's going to happen is this. There you go, a decent little chunk of damage for a very low risk, low commitment setup, right? And that's just Tien. There's a lot of more specific ones here. Like with his father, it gets a lot more rewarding. As you can see there, we can even get a down heavy in there if we use Vegeta. And there's a lot of permutations for a lot of different assists. But all in all, yeah, it's just really good. It's a lot better when you pack an assist, but these are just some of the options you have. And of course, now that we end this, you got the most basic option, which is just do this. Do nothing. Make them want to block the other way. Or, you know, mash, reflect the other way or whatever. And just do this. Wait a split second. And then go for like a down medium or something. Once people get really accustomed to just auto wanting to block the other way, that's when, you know, some really basic silly stuff starts working. Is it going to work on everyone? No, but still, it keeps people on their toes. Because just after a while, when people experience the same setup over and over and over, it's just going to be human nature to auto block the other way after a while, right? And once they do, then you can really take advantage and just, you know, sneak in a low or, you know, a dragon rush. You just stop what you're doing, just try out something different. Because familiarity with a setup, once you change it up, is how you break someone open. So the flip. It's definitely one of Trunks' most unique moves, to say the least. Because it's kind of a movement option no other character can really match, at least in the way it's provided. You can cancel into it in a ground thing, so, you know, on block normally no one's allowed to jump, right? Unless, you know, you have any sparking blast. Trunks, even on block, he can still go for a flip. So he has this kind of movement option no one else really has. So let's just talk about a couple of the random things that makes flip kind of cool. First up here, and this is not, you know, the biggest deal, but if you want to do it, say, instead of the usual, you know, say stand H into a homing dash, you can actually do this and do a flip. You know, if your timing's correct, mine wasn't. And you can kind of connect. And furthermore, you can kind of keep a combo going from there. This actually will get you a lot more screen than just the usual heavy into homing dash. So if you got a bar to burn, hey, keep it in mind. Now another thing to note here is the corner combos. These are somewhat infamous. They're honestly pretty difficult, I'm not going to lie to you. And it gets a lot more difficult the higher in hit stun decay you are. But you can use your command flip in the middle of the combo as kind of like extra jumps. So say something like this. So right there, honestly, that's not an easy combo. I edited that. It took me a couple tries to get it, actually. It's not easy. Even top level Trunks players, you'll rarely see those combos out of them because the risk of dropping it's simply too high. And that specific combo, honestly, too, if I did this instead of that, the combo would have dropped at the end because the hit stun's too high for the final auto combo hit at the top of the jump to connect. The whole combo would drop at that point with one more hit. So, is it worth knowing? I still say yes. Getting both command jumps in a combo, is that feasible? Honestly, only if you're willing to burn a bar. With the command jump, this whole setup actually comes a lot easier because the command jump comes out way faster than the regular light jump does. It comes up quite a few frames faster, meaning you have more frames, you have a lot more leniency to get that setup. That setup technically is more optimal, right? It gets more hits, it does more damage, and it gets more bar. So all in all, it's the best kind of setup, but honestly, don't beat yourself up if you can't do this all the time. It's not where Trunks wins the game, basically. There are situations where yes, a couple more points of damage can win you the game, but overall, it's not as key. But give it some practice. The biggest thing I could say when you're practicing this combo is, one, keep in mind you always have to do off the air ki blast. Two, make sure you cancel that air ki blast as fast as possible. You need to give yourself as much time as you can. Because if you cancel it a couple frames later, you're already handicapping yourself. It has to be canceled as close to frame 1 as possible to give yourself a realistic chance. So make sure you cancel quick, because that's the real secret to getting that combo. Once again, it's not as key, and don't especially beat yourself up about getting both loops. It gets easier the less hit stun decay there is, so it's easier to do it at the start of a combo versus at the end of a combo, just so you know. But yeah, just keep all that in mind. It's very difficult, honestly, but practice does make perfect, and you can make it semi-reliable to full reliable, depending on how good your execution is. Now, one thing here about the flip too is the tiger knee flip. So if you're familiar with the tiger knee technique, you already know what I'm talking about, but if not, it just simply means doing an aerial version of the move. Generally speaking, most scenarios as low to the ground as possible, but there's one scenario where it's kind of not that, but we'll just talk about the first one. So this is the regular light command flip. Now if we do it in the air, actually it has a little bit of a more shallow arc. So if we just do the quarter circle backwards motion here, so down to down, back to back, and here I'm just going to turn on my input so you can see what I'm talking about here. So the motion here, down to down, back to back, and then that's kind of how we do it. So what we're going to do here is do that motion and end up back, getting a jump. So what happens is this. We are jumping and doing the aerial version now. As you see here, it's actually much lower to the ground than the normal grounded version. And this actually has some application. So say we use our level 3 attack, right? And if we want to get, say, like a cross-up mix-up. So we do this here. The enemy's right beside us. Oh, that's way too far away. That's not going to work. But if we use the tiger knee technique where we just jump and do it right off the ground, we can actually get something and work with it.
You need to be stopped. Say goodbye. I'll erase you completely.
So we use that, and hey, we just got a cross up. And then, of course, we can combo out from there. So that's just, one example of its usefulness. So once again, they're just quite low to the ground versus the much higher and much more readable arc of the base ground version. So that's pretty neat. And now another noticeable thing here. So say we use that grounded version. So we can actually get a double flip. And it's using the same technique. So we got to be a little more crisp than what I just did. But you can see right there. If you do it correctly, which I'm not, but if you do it correctly, there we go. We can actually get 2 flips. So we can actually get a little bit tricky compared to just the basic trip. Because, just doing this into a kick, honestly, only someone very slow reaction is going to get hit by that. It's not very, it ain't tricking nobody, right? But the second one is what might actually trick people. So all you do is, once again, you do the motion, you hit up, back. So what you're technically doing is doing a jump backwards from your move here, like that. But since the special is already buffered in, it's going to kick in right away after you do the jump backwards, and then we get a little bit of a follow-up. So we see here, that's a nice little double cross-up, and that's pretty handy. Now, on to some quick, just assorted tricks. We did mention here earlier, and this is kind of a stickler for Trunks here, for his level 3. This is his command grab. It has a lot of difficulty kind of just hitting anybody mid-screen. Like even here, we can kind of dash forward. We just don't got the range. So how do you do this mid-screen? It's gonna cost you a bar, unfortunately, but it is doable mid-screen. So this is how. So we're just gonna put ourselves in the corner here. Actually, over here it's fine, right? And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna use a vanish and a very simple use of the flip after the vanish and into a jump heavy, and let's just see what happens. So we actually got it right there. So that's just kind of how it's done. It's not necessarily bar efficient, but thankfully, Trunks level 3 hits like a truck anyways. So that kind of works out in our favor. And that's all really kind of possible with command flip. And since we were using command flip, we actually ended with the down heavy just to get a little bit more damage. So it all kind of works out. One thing to note here about his level 1 super is it's actually one of the quicker supers in the game. Meaning, in certain scenarios, you can actually get a double super. And that's super handy. So it could be, based off an assist like Vegeta. It could be like off a slower super that allows for double supers, like say Frieza or Zamasu at the top of the screen. But the fact that it is a quicker super, meaning you get to spend 2 bars, which can be very handy getting that extra damage to close out a round. And on the subject of double supers, Trunks' assist actually has a fair amount of head stun behind it. So characters with very fast level 1 supers can actually get double supers with it. So we're just going to use Tien as our case to show you real quick.
Get out of the way. Don't want to die, get out of the way.
So there you have it. At exceptionally high hit stun, it's very, very, very difficult. And as see here using Tien, so this is only the fastest style supers may apply. Even Trunks himself, even though he has a quick super, it wouldn't be quick enough for this particular setup, but still, it is something to keep in mind. And one little factor with here, it's more trivia than anything that's really going to win you the game, but you never know when it's going to come up, is that his sword normals, that's his jumping one, his crouching heavy, and stand heavy, they all beat basic key blasts. So the timing's going to be a little kind of, tight to get the sweet spot, but as you can see here, that's a home run. Oh my god, we just killed everyone in that building. Yeah, and that's all. It's applicable for all of his jumping normals here. Oh my god, Trunks, what are you doing? Anyways, yeah, sorry. I've never really seen it done on this stage before, in slow-mo. Jeez Louise, you're just blowing this place up. But yeah, so all versions of his sword normals just happen to knock back projectiles, and that's a neat little thing that could maybe one point, save you a character or maybe even win you a match. So on to his generalized game plan. The one thing about Trunks is, once again, he's more about left-right mix-ups than high-lows, because while he does have one really good low, in that down medium is pretty dang decent, considering, covers a fair amount of space, for kind of how quick it is relatively, get going from there. It's still just the one low. Now, before anything else here, I do want to talk about the Shining Blade. So we talked about them before here, and all the permutations. Now, one thing to note, and it's kind of a big deal, is the Shining Blade, specifically the medium Shining Blade, is exactly neutral on block. Meaning, you and the enemy recover at the exact same time. So what does this mean? Well, here, we'll show you a more, advanced version of what this means, because we're going to pick on poor old 16 here. So we're going to have 16 set the block here, as you can see, and we're going to set it to do counterattack, light attack. So whenever he blocks, he's going to go for his light. So we're going to go for this Shining Slash here, and then we're going to hit a button. We're just going to go for our crouch light right here. So what happened right there? Well, Trunks' crouch light, and his stand light as well, are 6-frame moves, meaning against the characters with slow jabs, like 16, this move, which is 0 on block, effectively means, because you have a move that's 1 frame faster than what they can put out, it effectively means it's still your turn. And that's kind of a big deal. So every time they manage to block this move, and if it hits, awesome, right? All the better if it hits. But if it block, it's your turn. You get to go. You can be rest assured when you hit your fastest button, for someone like, say, 16 or Broly or anyone with a 7-frame normal like Vegito or whatever, right? You can rest assured you're going to win, and that's a big deal. And for the characters that have, a fast normal like you, well, all that means is you clash. So at that point it comes, whose second move is faster, and then you kind of work that out character by character basis. Now, another thing to note here, and this is the air version of Shining Blade, and it's also medium. Once again, as we went over in the special move section here, it'll go all the way to the bottom. It's going to connect unless you're like at the absolute top of the screen, then it'll barely miss, right? So one thing to note here is if you do it in the air and land, you are stupid advantage on block. So we see here normally on the ground, we trade, right? But if we make them block it in the air, oh my god, is it ever your turn? You are plus. So it is very advantageous for you to make the enemy block this in the air. Now, if you are in anywhere but the corner, now you can see here there's a decent amount of pushback on block, right? So if you're anyone in the corner, depending on the character's jabs and all that, like, well, you might miss, your down light might not have the range, but you can still be plus and then go for a down medium. Make them block it in the corner though, and you just own them. They have to be aware of this setup that while, it's already very good for a move to be neutral and block like this, the air version is plus and you have stolen their turn from them. So that's kind of the real value of this move. Once again, if it hits, sure, awesome, that's great. But if it blocked, depending on the character setup, and if you do it in the air especially, it can be your turn a lot. So if you want to toss this on a block string, and they're not on the ball enough to down heavy it on the turn, you can keep stealing turn after turn after turn, and just keep going. And that's honestly, to me, the true power of the move. Now, another basic part of his Ki Blast, and once again, basic is never a bad thing, is just simply his Ki Blast. He's got one of the best Ki Blasts in the game by quite a bit. So, one, why is it decent? Like, one, hey, the arc's pretty alright, you know? You can easily special cancel to a big beam, or go into change the future from it. And that's kind of nice range safe harassment. But the other thing is, it totally destroys weak projectiles, as you can see here. So, another basic Ki Blast stands no chance against it. So when it comes to that, and this is also the same for the air version, which also covers a pretty dang decent angle, when it comes to that, you're always going to win. Now keep in mind here, as you just saw a couple times, it's not as fast as some would startup wise, but still very good. Now once again as well here, so we talk about change the future, from a lot of ranges where you can connect, that's a 2-hit combo. So this is low risk, just kind of safe harassment, maybe low reward as well. But you can see connect and easily turn to a Vanish combo and kind of just go from there, right? And that's a nice solid easy 20%. So just nice easy harassment, and harassment adds up. It's not always about the big sick combo video combo, right? You need the damage wherever you can get it, and this provides a very safe and easy and safe way to get that quick damage. Another quick thing to note here about change the future harassment specifically is while the move is negative on block, at least when you're very close up, if they block it from like that far away or even further, then kind of whatever, right? But if the enemy is jumping, if you're not aware, once you block a move in the air, you basically always have to fall to the ground. So if they manage to block change the future while they're jumping, you will always have the advantage. Just keep that in mind, even if they're a little bit above the ground. If you manage to hit them, it's always going to be your turn afterwards. So keep it in mind. So if you just catch, guys just jumping around, tossing basic Ki Blast or whatever, one, this is always a really good way to kind of shut them up, as this beats basic Ki Blast and hits very high up into the air. And if you happen to hit them while they're close in the air and they block and come down, you will always have the advantage over them, meaning your buttons will beat their buttons. That's also a very good thing to have. So besides all these other scenarios we just listed here, the basic game plan is just simply get in. He can kind of be in whenever he wants, but that's super obvious and you're going to get down heavy, so don't do that. But that said, he's got pretty decent normals here. IAD Heavy's really good at beating pretty much any button before it. Has a very solid hitbox as well. His down heavy's got a lot of range here, and that's a very useful tool. The beams are very decent, and change the future so good. Having a generalized beam, always good. Easy to hit confirm, full combo from there. Get your easy 20% in. You can do a lot more optimized than I did there as well, just as an example. But yeah, Trunks is kind of a decent all-rounder. Once again, if you want to go for a lot of the left-right stuff, you don't have to have assist, but having assist certainly helps. Doing weird flips in the end of a block string is a good way to get down heavied, unless you got some mustard behind it, or you just really got them guessing after a while. But doing it as your first gambit's probably not going to be the thing. Don't rely on flip mix-ups until you've made them see the other mix-ups, because only then, once they're looking for something else, will something that's kind of slow and predictable actually have a chance at surviving. And yeah, he's a pretty standard character. His game plan is kind of just play the game. I know it sounds very redundant and very minimalist, but he's not looking for, the sick grab setup. He's not got, this weird, like, oh, I can steal the corner setups or nothing, like a lot of the weird advanced stuff. He plays by playing the game. If you want to win with Trunks, you got to have good fundamentals. Yeah, you can, like, gimmick people out with some of the left-right stuff every now and then, and that's cool and all. But keep that in mind. Also, one more note about the left-right stuff. Keep in mind, too, if you're not already aware, the game has assist cross-up protection. So if you do something like this right here, they're not going to get hit magically by the cross-up, because once the assist is called, holding left or right period will block both ways. You're not allowed to gimmick people out with the assist in that regard. So stuff like this with the Vegeta call here is specifically if that connects. and it'll buy you a split second here, you know. They obviously can reflect and homing dash, but it'll buy you a split second of them having to worry about it and give you enough time to recover. So don't try to gimmick people out with left-right stuff with assist, because it literally doesn't exist as a concept in this game. And so there you have it. Now Trunks, in the end, he's not really the most complex character in the game. It's not a bad thing, right? But he's fairly straightforward. Yeah, he's got some gimmicks to left-right stuff. But that's more to make up for the fact that his high-low game is kind of atrocious, as he only has one low. Once again, it's not a bad low, but when you have only literally one low and you have nothing else to make up for it, like Broly has only one low, but he has a command grab, right? That's kind of unfortunate. So you gotta gimmick people out with the left-right stuff, or just win by solid play. And when it comes to solid play, Trunks is better than most. He's got the buttons to make it work. He's got really good tools. The beams, either the basic key blast or the Masenko, Change the Future, such a good attack. The ability to abuse the fact that medium Shining Blade is 0 on block on the ground or advantage on block in the air is both really, really good. And yeah, so he's got a toolbox to beat people out in neutral. Maybe it's not the best toolbox in the game, because honestly Trunks, at least as of the time of this recording, is not the best character in the game and kind of far from it. But still, he's got what it takes, and that's what matters. And even better to boot, hey, he's kind of fun to play, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. I hope this video finds you well. Go out and play some Dragon Ball.